Y'all. So why?
My bad.
With
Hey, y'all.
the countdown going, right? And Pamela.
So here we go. Let's tell on Pamela time.
They gotta know why we was laughing.
Go ahead. Story time.
It's only polite to tell them why we was laughing.
Right. We don't want folks to be left out. You're right. Go ahead.
We can be having inside jokes on Real Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So we talking about what we gonna talk about today, and
I can't
Pamela
stand you. I can't stand you.
But so we started the countdown, and Pamela had this last minute idea. Like the countdown was at 7 seconds, and she's like, you know what? I just thought about something. We're gonna do such and such, and I was like, it's 1 second, and you won't.
Well, everybody, here we are, and welcome to Real Talk with your resident therapist, Pamela, and the man I live with, Bishop TikTok.
The man you live with.
I'm just kidding.
That's how I'm known in my family.
Yes, my niece calls him the man that you live with. So,
that's terrible.
Kristian, the pastor of the faith community, and we are here for Real Talk this evening.
Hey, Autumn. Hey, Renee.
Welcome everybody in, saints, ain'ts, and don't want to be's. Y'all know how we do. This has been our therapy and theology month.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
Can y'all please hit the share button? I appreciate that. If you on Facebook, hit the share button. I got to do my little thing.
Right.
We got to spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
Share the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Ooh, y'all, please let us know when you jump into the chat. We would love to say hello as you come in.
Darnell, what's up?
And so I was saying that, this month we've been talking about therapy and theology, and our sessions during Bible and Beyond have been centered around shame. But shame isn't the only emotion that we experience as human beings. It was just one that, as a therapist, and as somebody who is constantly working with people and talking to people who have experienced religious trauma, complex trauma, and everything in between, shame is one of those things that comes up most often. And so I wanted to use the month of September, which is designated as Therapy and Theology Month, to address shame. So the first week we talked about shame in the area of just overall shame, the ingredients for it, which is society, stigma, and awareness for those who are unaware. That's the recipe for shame. And we talked about that, and we talked about what shame looks like, what shame feels like. And then that second week, did you want to say something?
No, I'm just trying to make sure people don't think I'm just sitting over here in my phone.
No, I'm
trying to hit the share. No, I'm trying to hit the share button, and I can't find. I can't ever share stuff properly.
Anyway, hey mom, hey Tracy.
Hey Tracy.
So the second week was around sex and gender identity and how shame centers around sex and gender identity. And then the following week, I did a session on shame around race. And that was an incredible discussion that we had. And then last Saturday, Kristian followed up worship with an incredible message about shame. So we just wanted to jump on and have a conversation like we always do around the house, and kind of wrap it up by talking about some of the emotional work that comes with deconstructing and decolonizing our faith. You have any feedback about that before we dive in on what I said so far?
I'm sharing, and the caption says, "Join me and my old lady."
Your mama gonna be so mad.
Yeah. No, this month is really important to me because I really cannot find many, if any, clear distinctions between being spiritually healthy and being emotionally healthy. So before we started TFC, when it was just us in the living room with the family, we were doing stress tests at Bible study.
Yes. This was before it was Bible study. It was just your class assignment at that time. It wasn't even Bible study.
Yeah. So like, and especially, being married to her, how could I not take emotional health seriously?
Right.
Because again, if it wasn't for her, I would not be empathetic at all.
He would be dragging y'all.
No. It wouldn't. This wouldn't be if it wasn't for her, because I was too crass. I was way too crass.
Thank God for his grace.
I'm telling you, like, listen, I'm telling y'all right now, if y'all see my videos on TikTok and Instagram, I promise you, if it wasn't for her and some other very close friends that I like trust to advise me, some of my content will be way more harsh than what it is.
Yeah, we bless the Lord. However, so yeah.
So like, just developing the emotional intelligence to know, when to push, when to pull back, when to fight, when to rest.
What kind of language to use.
Yeah, all of that is tied up in more than your spirit. That's tied up in your emotions too, which is why I wouldn't feel comfortable leading a ministry and not having consistent conversations about our emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
Thank you. That's very, very true. Like we were dealing with emotionally healthy spirituality before, like Kristian said, it was TFC. At that time, it was just his class assignment. And we were all trying to figure out what our personalities were, how that fits into ministry, our deficits, our strengths, all of that stuff. How that this journey impacts us emotionally. And I think for me, that's when it kind of like hit me that, this journey of deconstruction and decolonization isn't just about Bible critique. It is also about your emotional health and your emotional maturity, because as you start to deconstruct and decolonize, you're not the same person. You change, you evolve, you pick up new things, you may let go of some things. And whenever you engage in a critique of the Bible, if the Bible has been what you have based all of your spiritual life on, all the rules you follow, how often you go to church, the words you say and don't, whether you drink or not, if you've based your living on that sacred text, and then you start to critique it and things start to unravel, that is going to be directly connected to your emotional well-being. So there's no way that TFC could have any impact if we didn't put the deconstruction and the critique along with making sure that everybody's emotionally healthy. Because everybody has something to say about the Bible. Everybody can find a scripture they disagree with. Everybody can find something that happened in church that was harmful to them. But we would be neglectful as a ministry if we didn't address people's emotions and try to make sure that as we all take this journey as a community, we're making sure everybody is as emotionally healthy as they can be.
Yeah. How do I want to put this?
Oh boy. Whisper it to me first. Whisper it to me.
I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long day.
It has. Both of us are exhausted.
It's been a long summer. It's been a long pandemic.
Yes.
But yeah, if you're not going to do the emotional part of it, it won't really be a healing. Like, it'll just be like a transition into another form of bondage. Because when you unpack your doctrine the way that we unpack here,
take a text.
when you unpack your doctrine the way we unpack it here, for many of us, for most of us, our identity is tied to our faith. There is a component of our identity that our faith holds. Even when we decide we're not going to live a life of faith anymore, there is still a part of us that is tied to that. So we make declarations about who we are as persons of faith or persons in opposition to faith. So it's a part of our identity. So when you grew up in a space, or when you were indoctrinated in a space that put the Bible on the same level as God, and then you start to critique that Bible, there's a part of you, even subconsciously, that feels like your identity is being stripped away because you put your faith in that Bible, and you find out, oh, it's not what I thought it was. So then, am I who I thought I was?
You better talk about it, Smith. You better talk about it.
And if we don't have conversations about our emotional health, this will really be that slippery slope. This will be the slippery slope that your faith communities of origin have warned you about.
This will be the cult that we watch documentaries about.
Listen,
if we don't address people's emotional health.
Listen.
It'll turn into a huge, venting, malicious, bitter group of people. And none of this will be about the way of Jesus. Because Jesus addressed people's emotions, you know? And I tell Kristian all the time that TFC is like rehab. It's like you have to be prepared. As somebody who is a mental health professional, people have to be prepared to come off of whatever they are addicted to, or whatever it is they've been doing consistently, that's in their veins, that's in their neurological system. People have to be prepared when they go to rehab for getting the emotional responses to the withdrawal. So if I can take that analogy and put it into this spiritual space, this community we're trying to create, TFC is the same way. So as much as we worship and we have fun and we be ourselves, we can't get to that without doing the emotional work. So when you come to TFC, everybody's included, everybody's recognized on all levels. People get to share their testimonies. People get to lay their burdens down. Like my grandmother would say, people get restored and healed and delivered, but they have to be prepared for what that does to them emotionally. Because that brings up anxiety, and it brings up fear, and it brings up all of the stuff that was traumatizing in our other faith spaces. And that has to be worked out so that we continue to make progress, and we can make sure that we continue to massage not just the brains of the community, but the hearts of the community. Because it won't sustain itself if we aren't emotionally healthy. And I hope that makes sense.
Oh, it's making sense. Hey, you ain't looked at the comments?
Uh-huh.
Stephanie said she feels like it feels like you're gonna go to hell for doing this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Was it Stephanie? Yeah, I think it was Stephanie.
Yeah.
It took me realizing I'd rather be in hell with all the people my doctrine said will be there than in heaven with them to accept the deconstruction and the realization of the truth.
Woo.
Yeah, that's what, I say it all the time. If you're gonna make my life a living hell, why would I want to go to your heaven anyway? Like, what is supposed to excite me about being in any place with you when I understand from the perspective of my humanity, part of my sanity is tied to interconnectedness. And that's just me. That's humanity. All of us. Part of our sanity as human beings is tied to our interconnectedness. We need each other. We were created to exist in community. I feel the same way about our souls. So why would I want to go to heaven and be in community with a bunch of hateful people? Send me to where the loving people are. If the hateful people call that hell, then send me to hell so I can be there with the loving people. I don't want to be around the hateful people. That's not what I want to do. And the thing about it is, we all are finite beings. We're finite individuals. We only have so much energy. Emotional intelligence helps you to channel that energy in life-giving ways.
Listen.
So if you spend all of your energy beating yourself up and beating yourself down because you are emotionally unregulated. It doesn't matter how much you shout. It doesn't matter how much Bible you know. It doesn't matter how much you come to Bible and Beyond and how much you engage in the groups on social media, because the emotional intelligence isn't there to help you channel that energy. And we all go run out of that energy at some point. So it's about understanding how to channel that energy in our spiritual walk.
And speaking of channeling, I'm going to channel a little bit of Harrison. If everybody would hold your hands up and wiggle your fingers. Now put your hand on your heart and put your hand on your stomach, and everybody take a deep breath in through their nose and out through their mouth. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Well, that was too
listen,
harsh.
Listen.
Was that bad?
About to start fighting the air.
I feel like
it's okay though. It's okay.
I don't feel
because
like that bad.
Because no, you weren't bad. That is the passion. That's the passion that we have for people in general. That's the passion that we have for community. And this isn't coming from a place of we have it all together or we think we know everything, because sometimes I'm an emotional wreck and I myself need to be reeled in. Don't do that.
It's okay, baby. Come here. She is though.
Anyway,
we was laughing about it this morning.
On my nerves.
We was laughing about it this morning. But
like I said, we are very passionate about making sure that the people who want to be in community with us feel safe, and they feel like it's not just what we think about the Bible that's being addressed, but we're also making sure that they're okay as humans. It is a huge transition to go from a place where you are experiencing shame and critique and judgment and rule-keeping theology, to switch over to a place where people are like, yeah, come on in. Everybody's included. We love everybody the same. We see everybody the same. As somebody who's worked with traumatized people, that doesn't always feel good to people. It can be overwhelming. It can be scary. It can be like, I know y'all a lie, because this is a church and this is a pastor. And so at any minute, some misogyny, some homophobia, some transphobia, some xenophobia, ableism, something is going to pop out of somewhere. And I'm going to just wait for it. But that is why we are all here in this community on this journey together. Because I don't know everything. Kristian doesn't know everything. But when we get in community with what we all know, we know a lot. So, I just I wanted to make sure that we came on for our real talk and just addressed for people who may be on the outside of TFC looking in, who may be curious about TFC, who may have some critiques about TFC, who are trying to make a decision about whether they should or shouldn't. Please know that we are as passionate about the deconstruction and the decolonization of our faith as we are about our community's emotional well-being. We want to be healthy as we're on this way of Jesus. We want to be healthy while we do it. We want you to come along, but we don't want to drag sick bodies and sick minds along with us. So we want everybody to be as healthy as we can be.
I feel like I need to do a breathing exercise after that.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Man. Wow. So and a part of that, y'all, for real, a part of that is understanding, because I've had to work through some emotional stuff recently myself, because I know that people are always waiting for the ball to drop with me. And that I get that all the time. There's a waiting on the ball to drop. So I've had to really deal with my emotions around how to address certain topics at TFC. And one of the biggest forms of emotional manipulation that a lot of people have experienced in church is around their giving. So there's been times where it's been like, I don't know if I want to approach that right now. I don't know if I want to talk about that, because people already expect me to coerce them and they already waiting for the ball to drop. And you know, that worked for a while, like, but at this point, we gotta do what we gotta do to make sure this community exists. So if you've been benefiting from TFC in any capacity, even if you don't consider yourself a member, if you've been blessed continually by this ministry, I want to encourage you to be a part of the sustainability of this ministry. It takes TFC right now $6,000 to exist every month. And that's not even paying everybody a living wage. That's just based on our expenses right now. So TFC needs at least 60 people to give $100 a month. It's really as simple as that. Some of you can give more, some of you can only give less, but we need people to be right there as close to that $100 a month as possible. Not because we trying to get rich. I promise you. I promise you, it would take a whole lot of money from TFC for us to even get back to even, given all that we've put into this to make this work. So we need 60 people who will give $100 a month. And if you're going to be one of those 60, I want to ask you to put it in the chat. I want to ask you to make that commitment. Like, let us know. Like, I'm going to join. I'm going to be a part of this. I'm going to join in this challenge to make sure this community continues to exist. I'm asking you to give because I believe you want this to exist. But this community will only exist if the people who benefit from it support it. So that's my appeal. It takes some emotional health to be able to say, I've been traumatized by the church, and now I'm a part of this new community that is so different and so life-giving, but I still have these hangups about giving. What am I going to do to work through that? Mm-hmm. That's really important. What are we going to do to work through those emotional hangups that we have? Because we can't pay bills at the church with likes and comments. As much as I love them, we can't call up our vendors and say, hey, y'all, we ain't got no money, but let me show y'all this DM we got. These folks love the work we doing. We really need y'all to support. So we're asking everybody that will to accept that challenge to be a part of those 60 people who will give $100 a month. And then we'll go from there and start to figure out how can we actually make sure the people that keep this community going receive a living wage. Yeah. Because $6,000 a month ain't gonna be a living wage. That's the next step. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's step up. Let's respond. Let's make it happen so we can keep this thing going the way it needs to go. And I'm gonna get out the way now.
Well, that was the offering appeal. I hope you all heard it and it settles on your hearts. I'm just gonna wrap up by, there's something that you said at the top of that appeal where you said we're not trying to get rich and it would take more than that. I'm not trying to get rich off ministry. Mm-hmm. That's triggering for me. So I'm not trying to get rich off ministry. I want to be wealthy off of the service that I provide through the gift God gave me. And that's with therapy. And that's with helping people be emotionally healthy. So I don't want to get rich off of ministry. What I want to be rich, though, is this community. I want this community to have everything it needs for everybody that's present so that they can get the best attention and care that they need. That is about what this offering appeal is about. We want TFC to be a rich community because we have some lovely stuff going on and some stuff that we want to do. And, as your resident therapist, whenever I'm coming to you with tips and helpful conversations and things and posts, please know that I am the resident therapist with a therapist. So I am also doing my work as I should be so that I can be in a place to continue to service you all and everybody else that I see on a daily basis and be in the best emotional place that I can be in. So while we are asking you all to join us in this emotional work through ministry, please know that both of us are also taking care of our emotional health outside of this ministry.
Yes.
And that's all I have. And just appreciate all of you and Donnell, who said that I was beautiful. Thank you. I get called Jill Scott in public when people don't know me. So if a stranger walks past me and thinks that I look like Jill Scott and they try to get my attention, I have literally had people yell out, Jill, and I turn around because I know they're talking to me.
Right. Yo, I want to thank Jermaine. I want to thank Asha. Leah. I want to thank Leah. I want to thank you for having the courage to acknowledge that you got some hangups. Like, for real, I applaud you for being able to acknowledge I got some hangups with giving, because that's the first step, right? To be able to acknowledge it. I want to thank my mom. I want to thank Steve Thurston. He probably been in here talking bad about me.
He has.
Whatever. And then I want to thank Autumn for being a part of that challenge. And then I got one announcement because she was about to forget, but I'm going to let y'all know. So moving forward, I want everybody who's here, who's on Facebook, to join Pamela's Therapy and Theology. Yeah. I want you to join Pamela's Therapy and Theology group on Facebook. She is moving into a space now where she's going to be offering more services to the general public, and moving forward, starting in the month of, I believe, probably be November. In the month of November, Pamela's going to be hosting a quarterly group therapy and theology. So you want to be a part of the Facebook group so you can get those announcements about her group therapy and theology. If you experienced her sessions during this month on Saturdays at 4, you kind of got an idea how that's going to go. But she's going to put her own little spin on it, put a little zhuzh, a little oregano, little salt, pepper. Yeah, all of that. So group therapy and theology is coming. Yes, it is. Group therapy and theology is coming. And then join us on Wednesday for Black Women in African Spirituality. You don't have to be a patron to be a part of that recording. We're doing it live at Havana Lounge in Sandy Springs, and it will be live online from the Faith Communities page and in the Holy Smokes group. So those are the announcements. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for showing up. We so appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Yeah, we're gonna eat something now. Yeah, we about to eat. Peace and chicken grease. Love y'all.